Good evening, everyone. My name's Tom Miller, Vice President Camping. Mark asked me to go over service projects and what's a good one and how to record them. Luckily, we got Ryan right here, so he can help me if I stumble through the recording process. Because as a unit leader, I never had to do that. I had a committee chair that took care of all the paperwork. So service projects. As I look at everyone here, I see a number of names that I've known for many years, and I know a lot of us can come up with a lot of great service projects. But the first thing we need to realize when we're dealing with a service project is it a service project or is it a fundraising project? Some of the simple ones that could be classified as service, scouts are getting paid for, so therefore it's a fundraising project and we can't take credit for the service. So some simple ideas for a service project, could be related to nature, your community, or let me get down to my notes, or your chartered organization. I know the charter organization that I was involved with as a scout and also as an adult, they would ask us to help from time to time, setting up tables for the rummage sale or moving mulch for the playground and other little odds and ends. Nothing too strenuous, and we had an idea what time of year we could do them. We all take part in scouting for food, which at every year is actually the biggest food drive in America at the same time, where councils from all over the United States, and I know some have switched, but majority of them still do it in November to help out the local food pantries. And right now is a vital time for those food pantries with the pandemic that's going on. So food drives right now, can be a big support. Another one that I saw here just recently is our council to the south, Susquehanna Council, actually asked for volunteers just before Christmas to meet and wrap presents for those in Kentucky that lost everything to the tornadoes. I did not see the final count, but when I saw how many trailers arrived to one little town, um, it was just that Christmas miracle for them. So, stuff like that can help, even as what they did. It wasn't our local community within our council walls. It was a community halfway across the country that we were supporting. So it goes on stuff like that. So a couple tools that can help you, and just by a simple Google search, you can find these. And they are PDFs for helping with how to plan your service project. Is the Safe Service Project Planning Checklist. That's a mouthful. But it's a simple PDF and with just a simple questions. What is your project description? What is your steps to complete? Do you have supervision? You know, do you have first aid? Is there any hazards to your project? Does everyone have their annual health records? Is there any special training needed? And also your safe project tool use, which can also be found in the Safe Guide to Scouting, and also your personal equipment. You know, so for instance, PPE. Do you need safety glasses, gloves, stuff like that? First aid supplies, and are you prepared for the weather? Are you gonna need rain jackets or snowshoes for being this time of year? The other thing is it's roughly the same thing as the Eagle Scout plan. Um, it's also called the Service Project Planning Guidelines. More or less just like doing Eagle paperwork. Um, taking necessary steps for planning, reviewing the site, determine suitable hours. Is it a project that we want to start at 8 o'clock in the morning and go all day, or is it going to take 8 hours and not start at 4 o'clock when it gets dark at 5? Just simple questions like that. Establishing your service project review process. Again, hazards. And seeing those hazards like weather or power lines or other stuff, and your tools and equipment. Are you going to need them? What age appropriate tools? Some tools youth can't use. I know Ryan and I were at Powderhorn a few years ago, and I actually raised the question: can scouts actually use a power sander? And the answer actually was yes. But the drills and stuff they couldn't use. So even if you're not sure, just ask, and someone will be able to find that answer pretty quick. And again, weather conditions and health. And then the big thing anymore, also helping in the kitchen on weekends, is who has food allergies. I know a number of different ones. Peanuts a common one. I've heard of a few people having other ones, milk and other dietary needs. So it's simple questions like that. If you're going to have snacks or foods, you should probably be asking to make sure no one has to go to the hospital. And also, who's allergic to what insects? Bees also. At my job, the first question I always ask one of the guys if we're on the fire line is, "Where's your EpiPen?" And he always tells me. It's in the same spot every time, so we don't have to go looking for it. It's stuff like that. And if you know a scout or an adult is allergic to bees, or fill in said thing and they have an EpiPen, always ask where it's at, because that could be a trip to the hospital that you don't have to do. And yes, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Gluten's also another common one that we come across. So now the big thing is the recording steps. And let me find my cheat tab here. And Ryan, this is where I'm going to need your help. So if this is the wrong one, please correct me real quick. So when you go on to JTE to record, it will come up. Hang on, let me get in the right tab. Okay, JTB service hours input, and this is off the scouting.org website. The first tab is service hours. So you click on service hours, and it'll ask you a couple questions. You agree, and you're going to need to know your unit ID number, which your district exec should be able to get you if you don't know it. Ryan, that's something you can give as a district commissioner also, right? Unit ID numbers?
I can get a hold of it, but you should be able to pull it right out of your Minot Scouting account as well.
Okay. And if you're new to the site, it will ask you for that number, your unit type, your unit number, and then your information, and then create a password, and then you log in. And then to enter service hours, you select, would you like to report service project, select category, and enter service information, and then you submit your report. It's pretty much a plug and play questionnaire. And then you go down to enter Eagle service project, select, which then it's a plug and play. It'll ask you for applicant's name, their member ID, the Eagle project completion date, project type, and then numbers of scouts that worked on the project. And then the cool thing is also you can see every recorded project that is listed, it being either an Eagle project or a unit service project. So that is how you record them. And I know Ryan, I believe Ryan asked in the chat. Okay, that's just if anyone had questions. So, couple ideas, for nature. A big one that was going around was picking up trash. Just drive around any back road and you can see a pull off, and most of the time it's just littered with trash. Um, what was going around Facebook at the time, you take a before and you take a after. Do you have sorry, Dave sent me a question. Do you have project workbook and checklist? Dave, is that for Eagle or just for service projects in general? So what you would do is you would take a picture of the site before and then after you cleaned it up with the piles of trash. Um, so that was one thing that was going around. Other things that can also help too, which is a big one, is planting wildflowers to help with bees and pollinating. The other one I was seeing going around, they called them milkweed bombs. It was milkweed seeds in these bombs that would actually degrade, and then a milkweed plant would actually grow for monarch butterflies also. So that's kind of a different cool thing. They would just go around and plant them, along roadsides or fields. Dave, I believe I do actually. Let me get back to you on that one. Another one too is for community services, being part of a flag ceremony at your school. I remember when Jeremy Campbell was killed in action. Actually, I remember the date very well. It was September 11th, 2005. They asked us to be the court of honor or the flag bearers for a service at the school. So the troop did that. Another one that's being very popular is making cards for the retirement homes for the residents. Not many of them are being able to see visitors, but at these times, a simple card can help put a smile on their face. And also, emergency procedure brochures. Fortunately, we don't live in an area that is prone to major disasters. Two that pop into my head right off the bat. I'm just going to pick on California because of earthquakes. Passing out earthquake brochures would be a big one for that area, and then Colorado here this past week with the fires. Another one. I know we just started watching Big Bang again, and Sheldon comes walking out, and Leonard says, "Wow, you packed real quick." He says, "This is my 2-day earthquake survival bag," and that just popped in my head. So stuff like that, being prepared, being ready to move if you need to. And then a new one that's coming along, which earlier this year I got a phone call for an area. Did I know any units in the area to help with Wreaths Across America? For those who don't know Wreaths Across America, what happens is normally the wreaths are bought and they are delivered usually in an 18-wheeler truck, and then they are distributed at cemeteries for the servicemen and women, so that a wreath is placed on their headstone, their grave. If you go down to Arlington just before Christmas, you just see a sea of wreaths. So that's a new one that's taking taking across America. So back to Dave's question. Dave, I can get you the workbook and checklist. I can get that emailed out to you. Or Ryan, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Can we send that out with the notes and post it to the with the recordings?
Yeah, I just need to get it to Mark.
Okay, cool. So Dave, we'll get that out to you, but I think I have your info. If not, I can get it from Carl and get you that directly. So does anybody have any questions about service projects? I know I've been going on for a few minutes. Crystal. Ryan, can you at least unmute Crystal, please?
Thanks. Our troop has a conservatorship on the Finger Lakes Trail. So in the fall and the spring, we do trail cleanups and maintenance and conservation projects.
Cool. I know I'm not butchering your name, so I'm not even going to try. I apologize. But yes, digging out snows for fire hydrants also, that's a big thing. I have one actually right out in front of my house, and I know a couple of the guys, and they know I at least have 4 feet around. It's usually, I think, 3, but I make sure that sucker is readily available if need be. But yes, trail cleanups are a good one. Also, I know for many years as a scout, we always look forward to doing Sand Run Falls, because that was actually a scouts Eagle project, and we just kept it going for a number of years. And last time I checked, it was still there and still used every year by many people. And Brad, I'm sorry, I'm going to pick on you, but what type of projects did they do out in Wyoming, if I can ask?
Very, very similar list to what you're talking about. I think one of the big ones, and this may be applicable in some parts of our area, but helping game and fish with hanging, I don't know how to describe them, but they're kind of like little propellers on the wire fences, barbed wire fences around ranch land, so that the sage grouse would see the wires and not get hung up in them as they were trying to take flight. So protecting wildlife by going out and just putting all these little tag things that swing in the breeze, so that that particular bird would not get hung up in the wires. Now, we don't have a lot of sage grouse around here, but I'd be willing to bet that if you talk to folks in the game and fish, I'm unfamiliar with the terms, but basically your state conservation group, depending upon which state you're in, there are probably plenty of projects like that one that would be great projects to do in the area.
So it'd be kind of like putting stuff on the fences, kind of like what people do with horses, so they could see.
Yeah.
Let's see, Mr. Sear, I know you have many, many years of experience as a scoutmaster. So he says, State Representative Tina Pickett, yes, she loves scouting. Holds the Senior Expo just like Clint here over in Tioga County every summer, up at the Athens School, and helps move with tables. Scouting in the valley, and helps out setting up tables and chairs in the gym before each event. Yes. Getting a hold of your representatives if they're doing something like that. That's also a big help too, especially if they're a supporter. And I'm going to send a shout out to Tina. As far as I know, every Eagle ceremony I've ever been to over in Bradford and Sullivan, if she is invited, she makes a point to be there. She just loves the program, and same thing with Clint over here. Both of them will go out of their way to show up. So just a little plug to those two. Like what Brad was saying, also making fish structures can also help. Making bat boxes, wood duck structures, most of that stuff you can find plans right on the website or on the internet, and also getting a hold of either fishing fish and boat down here in PA, or the Game Commission, or DNC up in New York. Either one of them probably have lists 9 miles long on what to do. I know the guys down at Game Lands 252 in Allenwood, they get either a youth group or Girl Scouts to come in and help them drag Christmas trees and pile them up on the Game Lands for brush piles. And that's actually fun. The one thing Bain Powell said many, many years ago is scouting's a learning game with a purpose. It's something along those lines. But if we can make service fun to the scouts, they really don't think that they're working as hard. They're having fun, but they're also learning at the same time. So service, giving back to our communities, that's what we're about. And even to this day, as adults, we find ourselves still serving. I sit on a cemetery committee where I'm the trustee chair for that, and setting up for charter rep. Fun times. For the cemetery committee, or helping raise money for local charities. Just before COVID, my home beverage group put on a tasting where all the proceeds went to a local charity to help with children born by drug abuse parents, and help with their needs. It's stuff like that can be fun with little work. So Ryan, how much time do we got left?
I haven't gotten anything back from Mark just yet, but okay. I do want to point out real quickly, Lisa just put a really good one in the chat about helping out or doing any service projects we can for our charter organizations. That is always a really critical one, because we are a part of their organization. We want them to feel that way. But when they're doing a cleanup day, we should absolutely be there. When they're doing something that, the Wyalusing Presbyterian Church does a community yard sale. I mean, the church puts it on, but basically the entire social room is full of random yard sale things, and the church makes a little money on it, but it really is a service to the community where people can come and buy bags and bags of clothes for $1. And so the Scout Troop helping out with something like that can be very critical. We may need to bring Brad back in on this particular one. I have had people ask about providing a flag ceremony or an honor guard at some kind of a political event. Scouts are frequently asked to serve as, doing colors or doing a ceremony for flags. There are some times where we probably don't want to be associated as an organization, but if we are there just to do the flag ceremony and we are not there supporting a specific agenda, frequently it's okay, but I'll let Brad be more specific if need be.
There we go. Yeah, you've got to be very careful with that sort of thing. You can do the presentation of the colors, but then the scouts and leaders in uniform have to leave, and be careful not to end up on the news standing next to the candidate, etc. Political rallies are a touchy subject, and we need to be careful that in no way can it be presented in the media as scouting endorsing a particular candidate. So it is a touchy thing. You can do the flag ceremony, but then it's best to get out of there, or at least get out of uniform real quick after the colors are presented.
And Cliff also pointed out a good one also in the chat. Cemetery cleanups. I know a lot of cemeteries, at least the one I'm involved with. There's only a handful of us, and it's a lot of work keeping them up, especially a couple of them over in Cliff's neck of the woods there in Sayre and Athens. There's a few of them that are pretty big in size, and it takes a lot of people to help. It's stuff like that, giving back to our communities, no matter how small it may be or how big it might be. Giving back to our communities is what we're about. And now I'm gonna pick on Brad again. I'm sorry, Brad, because I know this. I've seen this one come along a few times, at least on social media. The question is asked. So since you're here and we're talking about service projects, I'm going to ask, if you are fundraising for a service project, can you count those hours as service, or is that classified as a fundraiser? You're muted, Brad.
There we go. Really, it depends a lot on how it's structured. Scouts in uniform are not supposed to be raising money for other organizations. However, you can support an organization's fundraiser. So a good example is when I was a scout, the Lions Club was our chartered organization, and they held a big chicken barbecue every summer. And our troop would be called on to help with parking. Well, it was helping with parking was considered to be a service project for our chartered organization, because we weren't directly soliciting funds or raising money for them, even though it was as part of their fundraiser. So those were service hours. So it really, it's kind of a fine line when you're getting into that end of the fundraising effort. So more, it's kind of, are you taking money or are you supporting the efforts of others without taking money and providing service to them to help their event be successful? If you're providing support to help their event be successful, but you're not selling tickets, you're not taking money, then it's service hours. You're providing service.
Thank you. Because I know that's a touchy subject and it usually gets passed around a little bit. So,
like most things that have to do with money, a lot of it has to do with how the IRS views things.
What was that, Ryan?
I was just letting you know that we've got everybody back.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'll stop talking.